Y'all, Stages is now sponsored by BetterHelp, and I couldn't be more excited because I love therapy. So I encourage you, if you've had a tough year and a half, why don't you give them a shot? You can find a therapist that you can connect with. Their resource is thousands of therapists, well-trained and experienced. You can keep looking until you find someone that you click with. They have customized online therapy. They do offer videos, but they also offer phone and live chat sessions. So you don't even have to be seen. You can only be heard. What are you waiting for? Go to BetterHelp. That's HELP.com/stages. And for our cast members, you get 10% off your first month at BetterHelp.com/stages. Go, go, go. Go find your healing. Go find your happy. Stages podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. That's HELP. Hi, I'm Stephanie J. Block.
And I'm Mary Lee Fairbanks. Welcome to Stages Podcast,
where we're bringing creation and connection to center stage.
Stephanie wants to be your new best friend.
I want to be your new best. I'm wearing prairie clothing. I don't know if you can catch the full. It's like a full.
Dude, I should have worn my little prairie thing.
I got it from Target. Absolutely.
Yeah, they're into it.
And it is a small, which is hilarious because I won't be able to take it off. And then my breastises are flattened, much like the days of prairie. So I feel very in character for you.
Today's guest is a multi-talented woman. She starred on and off Broadway in Hand to God, Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder, and The Extraordinary Ordinary. She wrote, stars in, and co-produced the new show called Livin On A Prairie. She was recently featured in Forbes Magazine for her work in this show and won several Indie Film Festival awards, including Los Angeles International Film Festival and the Tribeca Film Festival, just to name a few. Please welcome Pamela Bob.
Pamela Bob to stage. Pamela to stage. All the way from Mankato. I'm so excited.
Okay, I'm just letting you know, if this hour is going to be all prairie reference, I am here for it.
I am here for it. All of the nuances in your series. First of all, award. And these are not little awards. Does it still shock you in a way? Or were you like, no, this feels right. I created something unique and niche and yet universal, because Little House on the Prairie, oh gosh, we can go down so many roads, so many dirt roads with this conversation. Little House shaped your childhood as it did mine, because that community is so beautiful, and the way they help each other and the barter system and the care and the trials. And I was just telling Mary Lee, I tried to introduce my 6-year-old to it, which the content is a little too, serious. We saw the episode where the alcoholic drinks too much and has hallucinations of bats. Right. She's waking up in the middle of the night, scared of bats, but she does want to see when Mary gets blind and what the baby looks like. So we're trying to get there, but that's
this is not a family fluffy show. I mean, certainly there were nice lighter episodes, but am I allowed to curse? Can I say?
Of course.
Like I say in the show, some serious shit went down on that prairie.
For sure. And I cry every episode.
Every episode.
I
know.
Aside from how great Little House was and how much you guys obviously love it, your comic skills in that show are off the charts. You know how when someone does something so perfectly, you can't ever imagine anyone else doing it? That's what it is for me. You were perfect.
Networks that when we start showing. I will say, to answer your first question, is it surreal, or do I know, hell yeah, this is it? It is equally both. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know if you saw my face while Mary Lee was doing that amazing intro, but I'm holding my head and my eyes are popped open and I'm shaking my head, because A, I can't believe it. B, it sounds seriously impressive. And C, I probably have imposter syndrome all at the same time. It's bizarre because on one hand, yes, I know it's great. I did something great. And on the other hand, I can't believe I did something great.
Has this project been percolating in you for a while?
So long story short, I had come off of several years of doing a lot of theater in New York. And as you ladies both know, it can beat down a person real easy. As wonderful as it can be, it's hard. It's really hard. And I was a mom the whole time, and it was just difficult. And I find it very interesting that sort of Broadway reckoning is happening right now with toxic environments, because I experienced a lot of that. And by the end of sort of like a 6-7 year run, I was like, I need a break. I need a mental health break. I need a physical health break. I developed autoimmune issues because of it. Everything just sort of fell apart. And it was a real mourning period too, because it was always the dream. And I had achieved the dream, and the dream was almost killed me. And I don't at all regret it. I did achieve my life dream of getting to Broadway and New York theater and all of that stuff. But it took a real toll on me. And I had to step back for a minute and say, whoa, what is this? How do I get back on track? How do I also do art that I'm really supposed to be doing? And how do I get there? So I just took a little mental break to get physically well, emotionally well. And I wrote when I was younger, but I never considered myself a writer. I had never produced. I had done, commercial and dabbled in a little bit of film, but nothing that I knew what I was doing. So it was never even on the radar of being able to do something like this. But the idea came to me in a dream. I was putting my son to sleep. He had fallen asleep and I was still in his bed, and I was sort of in that half awake, half asleep space. And the idea of the Pictionary episode, which is the first episode, popped in my brain. And that episode, by the way, is a true story. That happened to me.
So you were drawing a sandstorm?
I'll never forget it as long as I live. I was at a party. We were playing Pictionary. The word was sandstorm. And the only idea that came into my brain was to draw the scene from Little House on the Prairie where Mary is caught in a sandstorm.
Right.
Because
a prairie woman with sand circling around her. Come on.
I mean,
Stephanie would have got that clue.
Even occurred to me to draw sand and storm. And in that moment, actually, and it was so humiliating. I mean, it was just, and literally when it was done, I was angry. No one figured out that it was sandstorm. It was like, come on, people. And it was in that moment that I realized that Little House on the Prairie had seeped deep, even deeper than I had even thought or considered, into my actual DNA and how I filtered the world.
Yeah.
And so that moment popped into my brain in sort of a dreamlike state. And I, not to get too woo-woo, but I'm going to go woo-woo. I felt an electrical bolt go through my body. And I literally sat up in the bed. And I had just a knowing that this is what I have to do. I don't know how I'm going to do it. And the plan was, I was just going to take my iPhone and film with a couple friends just for fun, because I just thought, this is cool. And I know it's a good idea. It makes me laugh. What if I did a bunch of shorts just about these funny prairie, because that wasn't the only prairie embarrassment I've had in my life. And I have to say, the feeling was so strong. I think the next week I was hanging out with a couple of friends and I said, you guys, I have this idea. And I told them the idea and I said, and I want to call it Livin On A Prairie. And they doubled over with laughter.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew I was onto something. And the second I said it out loud into the universe, within 6 months, the whole thing was done. And I didn't have to work for anything. I mean, the whole thing was magical. I went to a show by myself, took myself on Mother's Day to see a show, sat down next to a very lovely couple. They started talking to me. What do you do? Oh, I'm an actor. Oh, we love Broadway. We love theater. Have you seen, what are you doing now? And I said, and I don't know why, I said out loud, and this is before I had written a word on paper yet, a word. It was just an idea. I said, I'm going to write a TV show about a woman obsessed with Little House on the Prairie, and I'm going to have Alison Arngrim co-star in it. And he looked at me and he said, that sounds amazing. I'd like to invest in that.
Oh my goodness.
And I was like, okay.
Well, you were in good seats. You were in house seats. You were like in row D or E, smack dab in the middle.
Yeah. And then the next day he emailed me and I was like, what? And then the next day he emailed me again, like, I want to invest in this. That's how that happened. The production company, I went and did a show at Vaster at New York Stage and Screen, a workshop of a show. And Garth Kravitz, a wonderful actor, and I were in the same cast. We were talking, what else are you working on? I said, actually, I have this investor and I have this show and I've written it. And I just don't know how to film it. I don't have a production company. I don't know how to do this. What about you? And he said, I have a production company that specializes in dark comedies. And
oh my God.
Stuff, and it was a perfect match.
When your initial dream of getting to Broadway was the goal for you as an artist, did you speak this way to the universe? Were you like, I see myself standing center stage? Do you manifest things by, like you said, airy fairy or woo woo? Is this part of who you are?
So I will say one of my big regrets is that I didn't have the knowledge of manifestation, of universal law of energy, law of attraction. I didn't have that language. I didn't have that knowledge. I hadn't gone into that world yet until after Broadway. And my huge regret is I wish I would have had those skills and those tools and that knowledge to have helped me navigate that.
Here's the thing. If you had all those skills and tools and knowledge at that time, you would have gone in a different direction. You would not have hit the roadblocks that forced you to stop and create something new. And I think that's definitely what sometimes that has to happen, because we're so caught up in what we're doing that we're not actually on the correct path, even though we're enjoying it. And so the universe just plops it down and goes, no, we're going to stop you right here in your tracks. You're going to get sick. And then you're going to regenerate and come up with this new idea. And I mean, I am totally into all the things that you're talking about. I think words are very powerful. I think just by saying them out loud, and I know those magic moments, like when you hear yourself say something, you go, oh my gosh, that was the truth.
What we're not taught is that those gut feelings, those little whispers, those instincts, those first impressions, that is always right. And we might not know why we're saying no to something or why we're saying yes to something, but have to believe that those feelings that might be total opposite from everyone else are exactly, it's your guidance system, and it's never going to lead you in the wrong direction. And I think we're all taught to talk ourselves out of it, justify something, make excuses for something, or literally just ignore or repress.
Failure's bad. Don't fail. Failure's bad. That's what we're taught.
And also, in our profession, especially if you're in musical theater, you're sort of indoctrinated with, well, that's the path, Broadway or bust.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up right outside New York City in Teaneck, New Jersey.
Oh,
and my mom's an actor. My sister's a pianist. My dad's a writer. So I was this is my life. But again, that whole thing of like, I knew I was a good writer, but I'm not a writer. I'm an actor. I knew, can I tell you something really woo-woo? 2 really woo-woo things. I took a 3-month chakra workshop. Learn about the chakras, and it was hardcore. I mean, it was deep group therapy. It wasn't like woo-woo colors. It was like, holy moly, we're diving deep into our past, into our conscious, into our subconscious.
You're speaking Mary Lee's language.
I've been teaching the chakra system for 17 years. So.
Oh, well then,
I love it.
When we're done with this, I want to hook you up with someone.
We need to talk.
But it was immediately after that class, I booked my first Broadway show. It had totally changed my mindset. But the other thing is, this is crazy. When I was in Gentleman's Guide, I have a friend who's a psychic, and I had a little session with him. It was in between a matinee and evening show. We went out to dinner, and he did his session on me, and he said, so I see you, you're a producer. This was 7 years ago. This was 6 or 7 years ago. He went, you're not just going to be doing this, you're going to be producing and you're going to be writing. And at the time I was like, what are you talking about? I don't even know what that means. I have no idea what I was sort of like, okay, that's cute, but okay, let's move on. And literally it was 5 years later when this all happened. And I was like, interesting.
You have small children that you're doing all of this with little kids.
So Henry just turned 11 and Margot just turned 3. And I had Margot right after filming. I got pregnant with Margot right after filming Prairie. She sort of came after we filmed it. She's my little magical baby. Because I also, there's a reason why there was 8 years between the kids, because I was in a just totally different place. It was interesting. When I got pregnant with Henry, it was certainly a very happy thing, but I hadn't achieved my career goals yet. I was a working actor, but I hadn't achieved those things that I always wanted to get to. And so when he was born, instead of like a lot of mothers, when their babies are born, they go, oh, I'm done with everything else. This is it, baby. Like this taking care of this child is my life. And I sort of had a totally opposite reaction. I had this baby that I loved, but it only instilled this fire of me of like, oh my God, I have got to achieve my dreams. Otherwise I'll feel resentful. The good news is I did it. Yay. But I ran myself ragged. And by the time Margot came along, it was sort of like, I checked those boxes off. I had a really very new perspective of the business, of my place in the business, my new goals, my new dreams. And when I had her, it was like, oh yeah, I could bask in the mommy love. And I was able to be super present. And that makes me feel very guilty about my experience with Henry. But it really was a very polar opposite mothering experience.
Wow.
It's hard being a mom and doing all this. It's hard. The other difference too is that I think, you were asking me before, was I manifesting the Broadway thing? Partially, but I think the big difference is I was white knuckling the Broadway thing. I was climbing to get to that, get to that dream. It felt like, I'm working really hard.
Desperately.
Yes.
Yeah.
With Prairie and with this sort of new avenue of my life, it feels just much more in the flow. I remember we were filming the Bonnet Heads Anonymous scene, which I am not in. That's the group male therapy.
Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm.
And, but I remember being there while they were filming it and the light bulb just went off and I went, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Oh, this makes perfect sense because I was that actor. And I think this is part of the reason why part of my Broadway experience was there was an element of it that felt weirdly dissatisfying, which was because I am the actor who's in the rehearsal room watching everything, even the scenes that I'm not in, because I want to look at the process. I want to see it. I want to make things right. I want it to be perfect. And I don't mean perfect as in clean cut. I mean perfect as in we are the best in the business. We have the ability to make this the best it can possibly be. Let's go. Let's do it. And it's not about having power, because I don't want ultimate power. I want a collaborative experience. I want people in the room that are better than me, quite frankly. But with Prairie, the experience was I did have it was my vision. It was my creative control. However, I was in the room with amazing other talents. I had a say in the conversation. I had a say in the casting, and and the writing was mine. And I knew if it wasn't good enough, but the experience was like, oh, all of those elements of myself that I would sort of kick myself about. I remember saying to myself constantly, like, why can't I just be satisfied? Why can't I just come to work and feel happy that I'm just even here? And instead of that little nagging thing inside of me, like, yeah, but what about this? Or how about that could be better. Or maybe if we could just do, and long story short, when I was doing Prairie, it was like, oh, duh, this is it. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. Really bizarre to get to 40 years old and then go, oh, this is it.
It doesn't matter if it happens at 40. These are some things that people never get to feel and discover and ride on that wave.
Yeah, and it's changed everything. I mean, it really has changed. Not saying I don't want to do theater. I absolutely do. But I got really picky with my what I said I was going to do and what I wasn't going to do.
I think if anyone comes into their power, it allows you to feel like, aha, this feels right. This is where I'm supposed to be. Anytime you're in the grandest of circumstances and your voice is not being heard and you're not being taken into account, it doesn't matter what the atmosphere looks like. That's not the place for you. So I want to go back to Little House on the Prairie because it's me and I'm wearing a prairie dress. Did that series, was it like a safe space for you?
Oh,
was
yes.
it what you wanted your world to be when you were growing up?
So this is an interesting question. I've asked fans this over and over and over again because I had a very happy childhood. You know, I had very loving parents. I was not in an abusive situation. And so I thought to myself, so why did I escape into this world? Why did I want this to be my world? Because my real world was pretty darn good. I understand if you're in an abusive, I've had fans email me saying, I grew up in a foster system my entire life and Little House on the Prairie was my only escape and I wanted them to be my kids, or my parents were abusive, or all of these heartbreaking. I mean, it brings me to tears, some of these stories people confide in me. And I don't know why I escaped to it other than I could relate to it because I actually felt that in my life too. So it was sort of a validation for me that, oh yeah, this is how we're supposed to act. We are supposed to love one another. Oh, look, that men do cry. Oh, look, my dad was a crier. Men cry. And I don't know any other show that has had this effect on people.
There's something beyond comforting. And I still watch it as an adult, right? I have all 9 seasons on the DVD. We circulate them every couple. It's like that and the West Wing. That and the West Wing are my constant go-tos.
Wow.
And it is because there's just a lot of trial that happens, but the manner with which they work together for the greater good is so beautiful. And it's done in these palettes that are just like, it's like a comfy blanket. Yeah. It's swathed in, beautiful beiges and golden lights and daisy flowers.
And the music, just the music alone can set you into a completely different state.
It does that. And his chin quiver when Charles Ingalls begins to cry. Maybe I was just beyond impressionable, but I too had a lovely childhood. But there was something about that show that I was like, oh, the warmth. To be in their community would just make me feel so warm and wonderful. Yeah. And I'm now 48. And I'm still dressing up like a prairie girl when it comes time to talk about this show.
So what's interesting is that this is the reaction and this is the experience of every Prairie fan. So I've sort of become an unofficial Prairie spokesperson for fans, which is
I love it.
Really bizarre. And also the craziness of I'm friends with all the original cast members of Little House on the Prairie now. We've worked together and it's all crazy. It's crazy.
How did you do that? How did you reach out to them and get this script to them and get them on board?
Okay, here's another wild. Here we go. We're going to go woo-woo again. When I was in Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder, I randomly got an email from someone who books New York City tour groups, so there's a group from Pennsylvania coming into New York for the day, and they were going to go to see a Broadway show that night. And part of the tour deal was that they get an hour with a Broadway performer. And they asked if I could sing a song and then have a Q&A. It was an hour long. It was $200. I was like, I'm in, let's do this. I do this Q&A with a lovely tour group. The tour guide was in the back of the room. We spoke maybe 2 words to each other. Nice guy. Spoke 2 words to each other. done. Later that evening, I get a Facebook friend request from the tour guide. Now, my personal Facebook, I do not really accept friend requests unless I actually am friends with the person. Because, I have personal stuff up there. And so, but I clicked confirm. I clicked yes. And I remember I clicked it and I immediately said to myself, why did I just do that? That is bizarre that I just did that. And I immediately went to his profile page to see who this guy was. And on his Facebook page are pictures of him and Allison Arngrim, who plays Nellie Olson,
Nellie.
Livin On A Prairie. I write him like, what? Like, what the hell? And he went, oh yeah, Allison and I have been best friends for 25 years.
Oh my God.
And you haven't started the project yet, or had you started writing?
No, this was a good solid two years before.
So you're just a Prairie fan at this point. Yes. Okay.
And I'm flipping out. And he's going, when she does her one woman show in New York, she always stays in my apartment. And the next time she's in town, we'll have to have coffee together. And I'm freaking out. And I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. Fast forward a year, I'm in Hand to God. I get an email from Jim saying, hey, Allison's in town. We're coming to see your show. And I was like, okay. So he brings Allison to see the show. And afterwards, she meets everyone. She comes up to my dressing room where we talk for 4 hours after the show.
So your stage door guy is like, it's time to get the hell out of the theater.
I think 2 hours immediately after the show. Then we moved and went to got food and talked for 2 more hours. And she told me, she answered every single burning question I'd ever had about Livin On A Prairie. And we started a friendship. And it was probably a year after that when I had the idea. And I contacted her and I said, hey, I want to do this thing and will you be in it? And she was like, hells yeah. And I was like, great. And it was through her. And then she was like, oh, this is really good. Because she read the script and she was like, this is good. This is exciting. I'm going to contact the rest of the cast.
Oh my God.
And
so they're all still in touch with each other.
Yes. And many of them wanted to be in it.
Have cameos in it.
Yes. So, but we did get Charlotte Stewart, who played Miss Beadle, the beloved Miss Beadle. And talk about seeping into your subconscious and your DNA. When we were filming with Charlotte, one of the extras who was in that scene saw that it was Charlotte Stewart, that it was Miss Beadle, and she started crying, opened up her arms and went, my teacher.
Yeah, that would be me.
And gave her a huge hug.
I have so many questions. Okay, without betraying any trust, just give me a couple sentences as to what was shared with you, as to what the set life was like for Little House.
Yes. So
difficult, challenging, wonderful, family, all those things?
Yes. Well, most of all, not difficult. All of them across the board said Michael Landon ran the most efficient set ever. You were done by 5 or 6 p.m. every single day, no matter what, so that you could go home and have dinner with your family. That was his whole MO. And that he had apparently had everything planned. There was nothing like, let's just see how it goes. He had everything. And, he wrote and directed and starred in a good majority of all of those.
And still had that head of hair. People,
I know.
That head of hair.
And the pecs. Hot car. Hashtag hot car.
Stephanie's going to pass out before this interview
I'm
is over.
having trouble breathing. Yeah, it could be the small dress from Target that's having this effect, but regardless.
No, they all said, and the kids were considered professionals, and you had to know your stuff, and if and the bar was set very high, and therefore everyone met that bar. But I will tell you that when I was filming with Allison, episode 5, Life Coach, and I'm supposed to be crying pretty much the whole episode, very upset. And, so we're sitting there and she's sitting across the table from me and I'm prepping, I'm getting myself there. And she's sitting there very calmly and letting me do my stuff. And right before they called action, I mean, right before they called action, she leaned into me and said, Michael Landon would have loved you.
And then started to cry. Did you start to cry?
Projectile tears. I mean, I got her wet from across the table, just projectile. And then the next take, right before they said action, she leaned into me and said, Michael Landon would be so proud of you.
Oh my God. Okay. We need coasters. We need t-shirts. We need swag. We need swag with this stuff on it.
I was crying so hard that I just started screaming like, fuck you, Allison. How are you doing this to me? And she said to me, that's what Michael would do. That was when the kids were needed to have an emotional scene and they couldn't quite get there. He would stop everything, come up to you, come down to your level, and say things like, do you know how much I love you?
Oh my God.
And it would just automatically get there to that place. So I was the benefactress of the Michael Landon technique, which felt really, kind of really amazing that Allison had passed this thing down that was done to her and those kids and did it to me.
And maybe that was the magic potion. When you watch Little House on the Prairie, if someone would say, do you know how much I love you? I'd be like, yes, Michael, I do. And that's why I cannot stop watching. I love you too. You could feel the love.
That's right. And the fact is, don't we all need to hear that?
Yes.
We all need to hear that.
Yes.
If only all art came from such a place, right?
Right.
If it was,
And if show is being created with just tons of ego and we're going to try to win every Tony, and I'm not saying the show won't be successful. It very well might be a huge commercial success, but that energy, that cast will be fraught. The backstage will be fraught with that same energy.
The difference between white knuckling it and being in the flow of it.
And being in love with the creation of it.
And it affects everyone and everything, which way you're going to approach something.
when you're grasping onto something, there's no room to grow because the space is completely condensed, right?
Yeah, and that's
you
what
can't
it feels
grasp
like.
and have growth. It has to have flow. It has to have freedom. And that takes courage.
And also that the holding on is limiting. It closes options. It actually does the opposite effect of what you ultimately are thinking that you want.
I know I've said this before many times when I'm teaching, or even a mantra from my own head, and I may have said it on the podcast, but inspiration, not desperation. If it comes from desperation, it is not going to be what you want it to be. Pamela, you also say, yes, it goes back to you being in 8 shows a week with Gentleman's Guide and being asked, will you speak to this group? And most people would go, oh, I'm exhausted. My plate is full with all this stuff. And because you said yes, that sparks something else, which sparks something else. It's never plant the one seed, it grows, and there's your opportunity. There's your dream. It's like you have to stir 6 pots. You have to plant 1,000 seeds to watch 3 come up. I believe in the woo-woo. I am a big believer in the woo-woo, but I'm still trying to figure out if we create the woo-woo and once we see it, then our understanding of the world and what we take notice of and what we say, what path we go down and who we then go into business with, if that shapes our woo-woo, or if really the universe is saying, look up, look over here. Oh, look at that license plate. I believe that we pay attention a little more, like that lightning bolt that hit you changed your point of view. Yes. All of a sudden now you're seeing things in a different way that were always there, but weren't necessarily getting your attention. So I believe in creating the woo-woo. That initial spark, I think, is divine in some way, comes from a higher power. And then we interpret it in the way that we need to continue down that path. That's it, 1,000%. And I do think, I love how you put that, because I do think it is a co-creation, right? I mean, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? Well, they both need each other, right? And I think what's been amazing for me is exactly what you're saying, which is once I became aware, once I understood, oh, my intuition is here for that reason. Oh, that little feeling I had was for that. Oh, I get it. And once I learned to trust that,
listen to that,
nothing is ever, that it is never wrong, those feelings, and that will guide you, then you do notice all those little things and you do realize all of a sudden, holy moly, the universe is talking to us all day long, every day. And it's our job to understand what that is.
Right.
And we're not taught that.
98% of the time, whatever, like you were speaking to, that voice in our belly is going to be pretty accurate. And once you trust that in yourself, as long as it's not to a detriment or a harm to someone else, it is your guiding force. And we all just need to believe that and that voice in our bellies, especially women. I hate to put a gender on it, but especially women, we have this power.
But it's not only that, you're taught the opposite. You're taught, be nice, kiss that uncle that gives you the creeps on the cheek because that's polite. You be nice. If you're in an elevator and somebody comes in and you don't like them, be nice. Right. No, I get off that elevator. When I was young, I didn't. I'd stay in the elevator. But now I'm like, no, my body's telling me something and I am listening to her.
And your body never lies. I mean, your body, listen, I manifested physically all the things that I was holding inside of my body. I mean, our human bodies are incredible. They will scream at you when they know something is wrong, when they know something is off. And it is incredible how we dismiss it, pop a, cold medicine and go on with your day. Mm-hmm. It's talking to you. It's telling you something.
Here they come, our 5 questions.
If you could have any talent or ability, what would it be?
Well, the first thing that popped in my brain is really lame, but I'll say it. Math. It'd be nice.
That's not nice lame. Nobody's ever said math.
Because, I wear a lot of hats. I do a lot of, I do a lot of things, and sometimes I'll get like, what are you not good at? Which is funny because I'm not good at plenty of stuff, but my number one answer is always math.
I would have thought you'd say time travel and you'd time travel yourself back to the set of Livin' On A Prairie.
Math, I could do some time travel. And there we go.
If you were to go back to your teenage or 20-year-old self, what would you say to her?
Ignore these assholes.
Fair.
Assholes. You're so much better. Yeah, that.
Okay. Tell us something surprising about yourself that most people don't know.
That I was in the children's chorus of the Metropolitan Opera and the City Opera when I was a kid. So
that's fancy.
I did 7 or 8 operas over 2 or 3 years when I was young. Yeah, that was cool. That was fun.
All right. Next question. Do you have a good luck charm or a ritual that you do before any project or writing or?
Well, the one thing that I know I always do before I enter the stage is I always put my hand on my heart, which automatically centers me, and I feel everything drop into place, and I feel the vulnerability come out, and that's when I know I'm ready to go.
All right, last question, and it's a biggie. If you were a nail polish color, what color would you be, and what would the cheeky little name be?
Okay, so this is cheating because when I was in Silence the Musical, every single night there was a part where she says a nail polish name that's a cheeky name, and every performance it was a different. We would literally research and think of. People would come to the theater with a list of new names, either made up or real ones. So every night we had a different nail polish name, and my favorite one is my fuchsia husband. So that one.
That's fantastic. See what research will do? That's fantastic.
I think that's a real name, my fuchsia husband.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Fuchsia husband. That is a good one. Thank you. You're magic.
No, thank you guys so much. It is such an honor to talk with you. I was so thrilled that you reached out. My first equity show ever was with Mary Lee.
Mary Lee.
And I still tell your calzone story.
Calzones.
Legendary.
They are legendary. My grandmother would be so happy to know that she's famous backstage. She would love it.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, ladies.
Coming up next, what struck a chord with us? Right after a word from our sponsor. Stages podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. Our theme song says, love where you are now, but sometimes we all need a little help. I've learned from therapy and in my yoga practice that growth comes from challenges. A good therapist can help you reframe the way you look at a challenge and your life. And BetterHelp can provide you with a therapist that gives you some tools to navigate. They offer customized online therapy, either on video or phone chat sessions. It's more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can reach a therapist in under 48 hours. And right now, Stages cast members get 10% off their first month with BetterHelp, so don't wait. Remember, when you support our sponsors, you support Stages Podcast. So log on to BetterHelp, that's HELP.com/stages, and love where you are now. Okay, Stephanie, so I know it was really hard for you to keep a lid on your prairie enthusiasm.
Well,
and I know.
Did I? But boy, did she speak my language on so many different levels. You know, the rigors of 8 shows a week, the beauty of finding sort of that woo-woo life. I was really lucky because I had a beautiful voice teacher who was full-on life coach and mentor. And at 11 years old, I was instilled with the woo-woo. And I've always believed in the woo-woo on different levels, you know, however 11 or 12-year-old mind can embrace that. But as a grown woman, I still use it. I believe in that co-creating your life with the universe and the divine. And once you're in touch with that, then, like we say, all these signs start popping up, which sit with you and lead you down a road that feels like you're on point, you're on purpose. And you used a phrase which was incredible to me. I'd never heard it. And it's exactly right. It's that internal whisper. We always hear intuition. We always hear instincts, but that internal whisper that you just can't quiet, boy, is that a real thing.
I think that's right. And I think, as we said in the podcast, how we are taught to ignore that. And it's even in our relationships. Sometimes we're in relationships and we sort of had that nagging little whisper that it's not the right friendship for you and you keep trying to make it work, or it's not the right love interest for you, yet you keep trying to make it work. And usually in the end, that little whisper, no matter how much you try to ignore it, turns out to be correct. You know, over COVID, I let go of a relationship that was very important to me at a certain time in my life, but I've let it go, and not with anger, not with anything. I've just decided to release it. And it was painful. And I kept going to bed, and for about 3 weeks, I would go to bed and I would say, you know, out loud, show me what I missed. What did I miss so that I don't do that again? What did I not listen to? And I'm not kidding when I tell you, I woke up with the words whispering in my ear, like I could hear the words being said to me. And the whisper said, just because someone takes everything that you give, it doesn't mean that it holds the same value for them. They took it because it was free. And everybody takes stuff that's free. Here I am. Right. Isn't that a huge insight? So here I am.
It makes me want to cry.
I really wanted to understand, because I was not going to repeat that again. I promised myself, because it hurt my soul. And I said, my soul deserves not to feel that again. And I really wanted the answer. And I literally went to bed every night for weeks saying, please, please tell me so I understand. And those were the words. And it was like, of course, anybody's going to take anything that's free because it's free. Just because I've attached so much meaning to the gift, to the gesture, doesn't mean that they've received it with that same meaning.
Yeah.
And that was a massive insight for me.
And also it goes back to that white knuckling that she spoke of, right? I am going to manipulate this, whether it's a profession opportunity or a friendship, and I'm going to hold on so tight that there is no growth, there is no breath, there is no. So once you release, then you can understand what it is and if it's meant to be yours or not.
Yeah. It's very interesting, the lessons that we take. And I really enjoyed talking to her. She was so much candor. She was very honest.
Yeah.
And funny. Can't wait to see where this show ends up, because I know it's going to end up somewhere.
I mean, yes, from the title, like you said, to her comedic humor, to the content, like Living on a Prairie. I really have watched over and over those 6 episodes, and I am so hungry for more. So I hope like the first time a dream hits her and it inspires her even more. I'm sure, you know what, knowing her after speaking with her, I bet you she has a full 7 seasons already laid out, right? Yeah.
She's the kind of person you want to collaborate with.
Yeah.
She's the kind of person to go, I hope I'm in one of those dreams, because I would jump on that wagon, on that prairie wagon.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I want to be a present day Caroline Ingalls. All right, girl. I love you.
Love you right back 1,000,000 times. Bye.
So if this episode resonated with you, please follow, subscribe, and share.
You can always find us at stagespodcast.net. A big thank you goes out to our assistant and doer of all things technical, Saren Cho. Thank you to Noah Kaiserman and Garrett Healy for our beautiful original music, Melanie Von Trapp for our Stages Podcast logo, Brock Grenfeld, our sound engineer, and Allison Arns, our PR and social media expert.
And thank you, our cast members, for joining us today. We hope you come back next week.